I'm Paul Perkins with the check of your ag weather. After most of us see highs mostly in the 40s today, the low to mid-50s over southwest Nebraska and northwest Kansas, a building ridge of high pressure leads to tomorrow and Friday being our warmest days of the next week. Highs warm up to around 60 in most of Nebraska and to the 60s for southwest Nebraska and northern Kansas. Elevated fire weather is a concern over southwestern Nebraska for tomorrow. There are low-end chances of light rain, mostly in Nebraska, Friday night through Easter Sunday with multiple disturbances. In behind a cold front, our highs for the weekend dropping back into the 50s. A more likely time for rain or a rain-snow mix, especially across Nebraska, is Sunday night when low pressure tracks across northern Kansas. Rain and snow chances decreasing from Monday into Monday night. Highs bottom out in the 40s to the low 50s on Monday before a slight warm-up to the low to mid-50s on Tuesday. Checking the long-term forecast, Nebraska and Kansas temperatures are likely to be slightly cooler than normal the early half of next week before mostly seasonal temperatures late next week through April 9th. Near normal precipitation is in the forecast for Nebraska and Kansas the early half of next week. Late next week through April 9th, Nebraska and Kansas precipitation chances improving to slightly above normal. Few other factors driving the markets include colder temperatures for the plains, storms moving across the U.S., and continuing rain in central Brazil. On the plains, a few below zero readings occurred this morning in the Dakotas, while freezes were observed as far south as the Texas Panhandle. In Kansas, 7% of the winter wheat right now is jointing, along with 36% in Oklahoma. Freezes occur again tomorrow morning in most areas north of the line from the Texas Panhandle into the Ohio River. Friday morning, scattered frost may occur across the interior southeast. Pacific storminess initially affects the northern half of the western U.S. Friday, the focus for stormy weather moves into California. This weekend, precipitation spreads farther inland across the Great Basin, Intermountain West, and parts of the Southwest. Early next week, that precipitation returns across the nation's midsection, especially extending eastward from Wyoming, Nebraska, and South Dakota. For western wheat areas of the southern plains, precipitation chances not a sure bet, but it could help the drier soils. For central Brazil, rain since the weekend is benefiting second crop corn and increasing the subsoil moisture. The rain moves into northern Brazil this weekend. Southern Brazil's drier weather could be harmful if it stays dry for too long. There could be some light rain across southern Brazil, though, for next week. Argentina is mostly dry this week, which is not ideal for most of the corn and soybeans in the filling stage. Rain this weekend in Argentina most likely starts a more active pattern for next week. In Europe, a big storm in the UK is providing several waves of rain this week that should last through next week. Rain is heavier in Western Europe, favoring Spain, but not the UK or France that are too wet. With the check of your ag weather, I'm Paul Perkins.